G'day dads, my name is John Runner and it's great to be part of your Dads Group discussion today. This discussion starter is the second focus within the topic of bonding with your children, and it's all about unconditional love. Now, no doubt you've already looked at our BUS principle as a foundational principle for building a strong and meaningful relationship with your kids. So you'll already know that the U in BUS is all about unconditional love. Now, we wanted to give you the opportunity to explore and unpack this topic a little more because it's really important. But I also think that unconditional love actually can be a difficult concept to understand and apply if we haven't actually experienced it ourselves. Now, as we often acknowledge when we come together in our dads groups as fathers and father figures, that before being dads ourselves and the men of influence that we were all sons first. And we've been shaped by our own fathers and male role models as young people growing up. And in our experience, in my personal experience of meeting with thousands of dads across Australia through the Fathering Project, when we come to the topic of unconditional love, there's not a great number of blokes that have experienced this as a son, nor do they know how to provide this to their own children or families. So can I invite you to join us in this discussion today on the importance of showing unconditional love as a father or a father figure to your children. And if this is a new concept, because of your own experience, can I encourage you to use this topic as a way to maybe change the way that you relate to your children, because it's really impactful and both you and your kids will actually be really, really better off for it. So feel free to follow along with the handouts if that's what you're doing there today on what unconditional love is. So unconditional love is when our children and young people know that they are loved by us, not because of what they do or don't do. It's not based on their performance, their grades at school, or what they look like, or what they're good at. It's not even based on their behavior or attitude. It's actually about our children feeling loved by us as their father or father figure, purely because they are our children. It's the unshakable foundation to our father-child connection. Now, why is unconditional love so important? Well, a father's love has lasting effects into adulthood, and these close parent relationships are the biggest influence in the healthy development of a child. Now, from the moment they are born, bonding with us helps our children learn that their world is safe and secure. And as they navigate all of the uncertainty that comes with growing and mastering life, they have the surety that no matter what happens, they can rely on being loved and accepted by us as their dad. Now, children that have the security of unconditional love are more likely to have higher self-esteem and resilience as teenagers, and they become more ambitious, optimistic, fulfilled, and well-adjusted adults, which I'm sure that's what all of you guys want for our kids. So let's look at how you can make this happen for your kids. Now, again, these tips on unconditional love are in the handout, so let's look at them together. So number one, tell them they are loved simply because they are your child. Now, look for the times in the day and the week when you can tell your kids that you love them. Now, I'm sure you're doing that, but this is more than just when you leave to work or when they go off to school or heading to bed. These are little moments that will almost catch them by surprise, and they are remote to good behavior or performance. They are just moments to connect and let them know that you love them just because they are your child. Number two is your love needs to be unconditional even when you disagree. Now, giving your child the experience and reference that you can disagree but still love each other is really important. Love is not transactional. It's not something that can be used to get your way or as a reward or a punishment, especially during a disagreement. During times of conflict or disagreement, let your children know that they are loved and that their point of view is valid, acknowledged, and that a disagreement will not stop you from loving them. Number three, even when you are not happy with the behavior, assure them that they are loved. Now, similar to the previous tips, it's important that feeling love from us is not conditional on good behavior or performance. In fact, we often say that the moments that we need to show unconditional love, that's the most hardest times to do it. Now, we want our kids to see that our corrections on behavior are actually a demonstration of love. We want them to succeed at life, and correcting unhealthy behavior is all about setting them up for success. Now, my personal tip is don't start a conversation at these times with, I love you, but rather end the conversation with, I love you and I believe in you. Number four, set a goal to never end the day without telling your child that they are loved. No matter what happens through the day, we want our children's last moments before they drift off to sleep especially to be knowing that they are loved by their father. This may sound simple, but it's so important. Number 5, tell your kids you love them when they don't expect it. Now, like I mentioned in the first tip, letting your kids know that they are unconditionally loved is demonstrated when you tell them at any time of the day, without conditions. Now, I actually try to make this fun so it's memorable, like actually surprising my kids as they come out of a door or when they're on the couch and least expecting it. Surprise them with a hug and tell them you just love them because they are your child. These simple acts are just so impactful. Number 6, write how you feel in cards, notes, emails, text messages, especially when they're teens. There's nothing more meaningful than a handwritten card or note that your child can read at any time if they need it. Use this as a tip if you work away or, for a time, or you actually live in a separate home. Don't underestimate the demonstration of love a card or note can give your child. Be fun with it as well. Hide the note under their pillow, in a school book or somewhere they will find it when they least expect it. Now, before we invite you to discuss these concepts together as a group, let's watch a video of some other dads navigating the concept of showing unconditional love to their kids.
What I learned about fathering from my own dad was what not to do, because my own dad wasn't around most of the time when I was growing up, and I didn't actually have a relationship with him until about 10 years before he died. And I think I learned more about fathering from my wife than I did from my own dad.
In hindsight, I don't think I was very good at telling them that I loved them. There weren't enough times, like if I could do it again, I would tell them every day. So I know I didn't tell them enough.
You can easily say to a child, I love you and you're special. But I think they've got to be told. They've got to be told with a hug, a genuine hug. And so that person in this relationship is me. I'm quite unashamed. I hug them all the time.
The first time I told my daughter that I loved her was on her wedding day. And I remember when she told me, she just burst into tears. It was like she'd been waiting for all those years for me to actually tell her.
On my wedding day, when he did tell me he loved me, finally, because it only took 25 years to do, it made me realise that he had noticed that I was this living being in his life, that I did mean something to him.
So we both really had a good cry, and I think since that day it's just been something that I've actually almost broken the ice, which sounds a bit funny, but...
Yeah, very, very emotional. Very emotional. Yeah, I'm very teary-eyed. Yeah, it was a very emotional moment. As now, thinking back at that time, makes me teary now, just thinking about, when he told me. Yeah.
It's a lot easier now that I've actually done it, which obviously I've taken a lot too long to tell them, but now it's happened. It's one of the best things, yeah.
Great. So I'll hand you back to your session facilitator and ask you to discuss the following 3 questions that we'll put up on the screen. Simply pause the recording if you're going to continue on with it as we discuss each question. The first one is, when is it hardest to remind your child that you love them? Number 2, what is it like for you to tell your children that you love them? How does it feel for you? Is it a challenge or is it easy? And the third question to ask together, what are some different ways that you can tell and show your child that you love them? So share some of these ideas as a group. So thanks for engaging in this truly meaningful topic, and I hope that you really got something positive and helpful out of the discussion you guys have had. Your takeaway action and commitment from this session that we invite you to do is just to make a deliberate effort to find opportunities and ways to tell and show your children that you love them this week and into the future. Well done for being the best dad that you can be for your kids. You really matter, can I say? You really, really matter, and make a difference in their lives. Can I encourage you to keep connected and keep building your dad's group and supporting each other through the challenges and triumphs of being a dad. On behalf of everyone at the Fathering Project, thanks for being part of the dad's group and being an engaged father and father figure. And I look forward to seeing you at the next event.